When did I realize that my narcissistic mother was controlling me? This question was posed on a video that I posted about how narcissistic parents will basically use their children as weapons. When I was younger, I was about 11 or 12 when my parents started going through a divorce. And my mother actively used myself and my other siblings to basically attack my father, spy on my father. It was really, really dysfunctional, really disruptive to all of our lives. I didn't realize during that time what was happening. I was a child. I was doing what my mom asked me to do. I was being an obedient daughter. I was doing something that I felt like would get me love and attention from my mother. I wasn't getting very much love and attention from my father. My father's always been a fairly absent father, and so this was the only attention and love and affection that I was going to get from a parental unit at the time. There are a lot of things that I didn't realize about my upbringing until much later. So really, to answer this question, I would say I was probably about 30. I realized that I would never and have never been able to count on my mom to be there for me when things were really hard on me. When the focus is off of her, she's completely not capable of being there for her children. Really interesting time for me because I was doing this self-discovery and uncovering of all these toxic things that I was raised with while I was like under the control of someone else who was doing these same things to me, but like in a different way. So I would say I had sort of like a hazy cloud over my head for a large portion of my life. Around that time, my father and I reconnected. We had a lot of really good, healthy conversations about it. That, for me at the time, was incredibly healing and it was incredibly helpful. What, however, has been very frustrating about that experience is that my parents have been divorced at this point for, like 30 years, 35 years, something like that, that they have been divorced. And my parents were basically no contact that entire time until just the last few years. The moment he reconnected with my mom, they start texting. Now they're like friends and buddies again. Things have not gone well. He just got sucked right back into that incredibly toxic environment. And I think that's one thing that's really important to understand if you have narcissistic parents. It's not just something you have to deal with when you're growing up. And this is also something to keep in mind if you if your ex-spouse is a narcissist and are raising your children partially or even full time. They're not only going to be disruptive during those 18 years of upbringing the children, they will be disruptive for the whole life of the child as long as they possibly can. That child, in this case me, will always be used as some sort of a pawn in the family dynamic. It's all about how can they maintain control, how can they take back control, how can they manipulate situations, how can they manipulate other people's feelings towards them more. The child is like non-existent almost feeling to these narcissistic parents because it has nothing to do with the child. In this case, again, it's me. Either one of my parents right now are thinking about how their behavior, both when I was a child and now, has been affecting me and really my other siblings as well. All that my mom in particular cares about, and now also my father because he's been sucked back in, is how they're feeling, which mostly involves how dare I at all speak about the abuse that I have had to go through with them. And all I keep saying to them is, if anyone is owed an apology, it's me. I am the one who actually endured all of that abuse. The problem is not that I'm speaking out about the abuse that I've endured. The problem is that the abuse occurred to begin with.